Let the chat keep coming in. Your name and where you are joining us from. Your name and where you are joining us from. Thank you. Oh, I have. Okay. Wow, this is quite long. Gavas. I hope I got that right. Mutam, humanitarian diplomacy. Joining from Kenya. I hope I got that. I have Neola. Yeah, Neola from Abu Dhabi. Okay. Thank you, Neola. Let it keep coming. I'll try as much as possible to see if I can capture everyone. All right, just a minute more, then we'll start. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone on this call. It's a pleasure having you all. I remain Omoshebi Ngozi Blessing. I'll be moderating the entire section alongside with Mr. Godwin Erundu. At some point, I will be handing over to him. Yeah, it's exactly 4:05. I think I need to get the conversation rolling. All right, I want to start officially by saying a very beautiful good evening, distinguished guests, respected speaker, educators, and friends joining us from across the globe. It gives me great joy to welcome you to the Education Reset Conference 2025. On behalf of the Education Research Institute Initiative, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for your presence at this important gathering. At Education Research Initiative, what we believe is that the classroom should be more than just a routine. Rather, the classroom should spark a quiet revolution. We believe in bringing people, ideas, and opportunity together to fix outdated ways of learning and to build a new version for the African future. Our mission at the Education Research Initiative, our mission is to champion future-ready curriculum, to empower teachers by investing in teachers as change makers, by giving them tools to nurture creativity and inspire critical thinking. Our mission is to transform the classroom into a hub of creativity where learners solve real problems and develop leadership skills. That's just a little about our initiative, Education Research Initiative. And this year we are looking at this theme. The theme for this year is teaching in a world that has moved on. That is our theme. And you and I could agree with me that this is not just timely, but it is an urgent call. Why is this so? It is because the world has leaped forward in technology, innovation, societal change. Education in many parts of the world has remained obstinately anchored to the past. I'm going to read out some statistics pointing out to this. The World Bank 2022 reported that nearly 7 out of 10 children in low and medium income countries cannot read and understand a simple text by age 10. This is not just a statistics, it is a silent crisis, one that has determined future before they even begin. Another report says, according to UNESCO 2023 Global Education Monitoring Report, it says our classrooms still largely mirror those of centuries ago, rigid, test-driven, and disconnected from the reality of a digital-first world. Meanwhile, the workplace has moved ahead. Studies reveal that fewer than 40% of graduates globally feel prepared for the demand of today's economy, where adaptability, creativity, and digital fluency are valued far more than rote memorization. This is why we are here, to ask ourselves the hard but necessary question. If the world has moved on, why hasn't teaching kept the pace? And more importantly, what must we do differently now to ensure that no learner is left behind? And that is why this conversation is not just going to be a talk alone, rather, it's going to be a place where bold ideas and practical solutions will be born. As such, we'll be exploring 3 critical areas, which I'm going to be reading out from what our speaker. Number 1, how can teacher thrive in a classroom where artificial intelligence, digital tools, and global connectivity are part of everyday learning? These are questions I want us to explore on. How to make education relevant in an age defined by climate change, shifting economies, and social transformation. And lastly, how to close the equity gap so every child, regardless of background, has a fair chance to succeed in the world that they will inherit. And we will be starting this conversation quickly. We have 3 amazing speakers. Our first speaker for today is no other but Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo. I'm going to be reading her biography in a jiffy. I just want to know if you can hear me, so I won't be speaking to myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Mrs. Adefisayo, Mrs. Folashade Omobola Adefisayo is a principal consultant, CEO of Leading Learning Limited, founded her education consulting firm in 2014. With nearly 40 years of diverse professional experience, she specializes in teacher training, leadership development, and school transformation for clients ranging from public and private schools to governmental and non-governmental organizations. Transitioning from banking to education, she served as the executive director and CEO of Corona School Trust Council from 2002 to 2010. She thereafter voluntarily served as the director of Corona Secondary School, Agbara, from 2010 to 2014, followed by various roles in school management. In 2011, she decided to further her education and embark on a postgraduate study in education at the University of Nottingham, where she graduated with a distinction at both the diploma and master's level. Recognized for her contribution, she received the Merit Award from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. During her tenure as the Honorable Commissioner for Education in Lagos State from 2019 to 2023 during the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu first tenure, Mrs. Folashade spearheaded initiatives to enhance the educational landscape in Lagos State. Passionate about education activism, Mrs. Folashade volunteers extensively to address the learning crisis in Nigerian schools, collaborating with various government entities and NGOs, including the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind, Volunteer Corps, Junior Achievement, Faith Foundation, YEDI, Text for Nigeria, Oando Foundation, SWOT Talk, among others. Without relenting, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo currently serves on various boards of organizations in and outside Nigeria. This includes serving as the current chairman of the Atlantic Hall School Board, chairman of the Osbridge College Board, member of the Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind Board, founding member of Teach for Nigeria, member of the African Leadership Academy, Johannesburg Board, member of the Pristine in Africa Board, and member of the Wimbiz board, among others. Please permit me to welcome no other but Mrs. Olashade Omobola Adefisayo as she kickstarts the first keynote session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me here. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here. If you don't mind, I have to give a quick correction. I'm not on the board of Wimbiz. I am merely a life member of Wimbiz. And my merit award was as an undergraduate, as a university scholar of the University of Ibadan. So those two corrections, if you don't mind, I think I should correct those. So thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's great to be here, and these are great times, and this is an interesting topic. And I'm very excited that I'll just give a keynote. Luckily, keynotes are the easiest things to do. You just set the pace. You don't have to go too deep into the topic. And so what I've been told to talk about, and you can see my slide on the stage, is setting the stage. Education in a post-pandemic tech-driven world. You know, she did say that I was Commissioner for Education in Lagos State. It happened to be during COVID, and immense lessons learned, both from the public school sector and the private school sector, about how to, how to ensure that learning goes on regardless of what the circumstances are. So, can we have the next slide, please? I'm going to be... Can I have the next slide? I hope somebody is listening to me. Next slide. Okay. So first of all, we'll do the introduction. What the world has moved on. Like our hostess said, she said, the world has moved on, and that's true. So what does education look like now in this post-pandemic world? What about the teacher in transition? And I want to end with a call to action. So it's not just talk, but asking us to take the initiative and move. Government, if government doesn't do it, then what do? You just sit down and keep looking? No. So what should all of us, what role can each one of us play individually? Can I have the next slide? Thank you. So what is technology about? Many people are afraid of technology. I know many teachers who think this is the end of teachers as we know them. Of course, it's the end of teachers as we know them. But it's the beginning of a new phase in teaching and learning. And if I were much younger, I can imagine how excited I would be and how I would love to plug into this and be a part of it. How can you not be part of it? So technology is not just about replacing tools. And so I've always looked on it as a tool to support my productivity, my learning, my growth, my communication, my entertainment, my relationships, managing my relationships, and so on. So it's not just about replacing tools that we've had, but expanding what is possible in teaching, in making teaching more interactive, teaching and learning more interactive, so that, you have a different and more exciting, challenging way of interacting with your students. It's more personalized. You can actually design programs for every child in the classroom, and it's connected to the real world. You can design many real life situations, which, when we talk about education in Nigeria and we are saying, what are the major problems that we have? We generally tend to say equity, equality, funding, equity, quality, funding, and a lot of other things. I'm trying to remember now, but I think what comes to my mind most of all now is relevance. Yes, equity, quality. Is it relevant? What is the point in going to school? I've always wondered, and I've always said that is why I'm an educationist, to see how can I, what can I do to ensure that every child who comes across me really goes to school and learns? And technology is a great tool for ensuring that this happens. If I can have the next slide. You see, we teachers should treat it as an enabler, not as our master, and certainly not as our replacement. You see, all these digital platforms can extend and improve and expand how you teach, but you can't replace it, because there are some human skills that AI is not yet able to develop, and I'm not sure they can develop it. Close one-on-one relationships, empathy, critical thinking, collaboration. Machines still cannot replace that. They can replace some things, but they cannot replace empathy, care for your students, love for your students, understanding of them, reading non-verbal cues, reading verbal cues, helping them to grow in the classroom, loving them, caring for them. These are still things that machines cannot do. And these are things that human beings can do. So why don't we play up on those things that we can do, and you then use technology to support us on the things that technology can do and replace. So it's an enabler, it's not a master, and certainly not a replacement. Next slide. Next slide, please. So the world has moved on. The question we should ask ourselves is, have we equipped our teachers to move on with this world? Are we equipped? Our children are so different. What is the point training children in the same old things when they are going to live in a totally different environment? And we need to help them to be able to absorb the skills they need to be successful in the world they are going to live in. The world they are going to live in, the children in school today will probably start coming out, say in primary school or secondary school, probably start coming out into the workplace 6, 12 years from today. The world is going to be utterly different. Whether it is in terms of technology or in terms even of global warming or in terms of even the world as a whole, business in the world, you can see what is happening. There's a total disruption of the old relationships we knew, of the stability that the world had, at least in a way, stability in a way, it's all gone. Everybody knows about tariffs. Everybody now knows about people, about the United Nations and how people are living United Nations. So that body that tried to knit the world together is unraveling. Many things are unraveling before our eyes. Have we equipped how are we going to teach our children so that they will thrive, they will succeed, and they will do well in something that we don't know and they don't know? And that's what we are going to talk about today. We don't know it. I can't say this is what the world is going to be like. All I know is it's going to be different. And because it is going to be different, we have to think differently. Remember COVID? The COVID pandemic taught us a lot of things. There were new norms, hybrid learning, AI-driven tools, demand for digital skills. It's become an unstoppable trend. Some people thought it was for the COVID era, and once it had gone, they would go back to same old, same old. But in going back to same old, we are shortchanging and cheating our children. And we are shortchanging and cheating ourselves as well, because we too deserve to thrive in the world that is to come. So I want to urge all of us to start to think very deeply about our role as teachers. Because in the meantime, don't forget these are children, like you said, we call them digital natives. I have the next slide. I now went to look up, I looked up a number of things. What's a digital native and what's a digital migrant? I'm a digital migrant. Most of us here probably are. But then the children are digital natives. So how does a migrant deal with a native? If I can have the next slide, please. How does a migrant deal with a native? I wish the slides could come when I say next slide. Please, I'm so sorry. Or I will just keep talking and use my own slides on my system. All right. So digital migrants are natives. And if it can be bigger, we don't need to see the small slides, please. Can we just see the slide itself? Because I can barely see, that's why. Sorry, I can't see the slide again, and I don't like reading slides. Okay. So, digital migrants, we prefer to talk on the phone. I still do, actually. But the natives like constant connectivity. They don't need a phone. We value proper English. I don't like it when people say KK for okay and TTY, talk to you later, TTYL, and so on and so forth. I really don't like it. Can I go back to that slide? But that's what the young people, that's how they use their own tools. Please, can I go back to, I'm on slide 8, taking me back. Thank God. Slide 8, slide 7, sorry.
Yeah, he's with you, our technical team. Please, Kristen,
Technical
slide 7,
team, please,
Thank you. Thank you.
cooperate with us, please. It's spoiling the flow for me. Thank you. So we prefer, like I said, the phone, email, face-to-face communication. They want things now, in the now. Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on. They don't want to start calling on the phone and talking. We don't understand many things that they say, and we like printing out. Many of us still use a lot of paper. Well, I'm glad to tell you that I hardly use paper. I don't even have a printer anymore. Not really, because it doesn't work for me. So that's the difference between us and, so there's a big gulf. So how do we bridge that gulf? If I can have the next slide. But you see, the thing is, we are talking about the fact that many teachers are still frightened of technology. But I'm somebody who believes that many teachers are willing to learn and grow. I've seen so many instances of teachers who have changed with the times, who have run with the situation, who are doing all sorts of things, even under extremely difficult circumstances. There's a teacher in Lagos who went from chalkboard to Zoom overnight, to Telegram. They were teaching on WhatsApp. I don't know how you teach on WhatsApp, but apparently they were teaching on WhatsApp. In Kano, there was somebody who delivered his lessons by WhatsApp voice. So that's how they teach. They just record and then send it to their students. I had a great math teacher in Lagos State who taught on Telegram. Even I used to go and watch her because I didn't like maths in school. But her was a great teacher, and it was like, oh, I wish I were a student today so that I will learn from her. Then I've seen teachers using Kahoot, even after COVID, in a very fun way to ensure that learning is going on in the classroom. And don't forget that we now have a number of Nigerian teachers who are teaching Nigerians and other Africans in diaspora on various virtual platforms. You know that we are not used to the gentle way in which they teach over there. We are not used to the fact that children play. We want our children to be reading early, to be doing sums. And so Nigerian parents, when they go over there, they are a bit worried that my child comes home, her cousin came from Nigeria, she can read, my child is just singing songs and, all those songs. They know those songs, but they can't read. And so they are teaching online and making a lot of money online. So across the globe, and even here, teachers have become frontline innovators because integration with technology is just now the new normal. And I hope, and I hope that we are all willing. This was that teacher, Bashirat Ajayi, who was teaching maths online. Here she is recording, just in her house on a whiteboard, and she was recording on Telegram. And within a day, she had over 1,000 students all over the world logged in and listening to her. Every day she was teaching maths. Can you imagine the beauty of that? So we were all indoors. We couldn't go out. But here was someone who just thought about it, that, oh, my children must continue to study, because the learning slide during COVID was considerable. A lot of children never went back to school. And it was a very terrible thing that happened to the globe. But you had people who were up and saying, no, we are going to fight this. So let's go to the next slide, which talks about the teacher in transition. The teacher in transition. If education has changed, then we must change from the old script. We must be actors in this new performance. We must be drivers, actors, content producers. We must lead the process. I deal with a lot of IT companies, edutech companies, but funny, they hardly talk to teachers. So many of their solutions are not practical or usable. But what I would love to see is teachers themselves learning those skills and they themselves developing these tech solutions. I'm also a member of a group that says teachers, I think teachers pay teachers, where you can buy all sorts of solutions online for your class. So that I think is that. So teachers, can we lead this process? Next slide, please. So what is the role of teachers? Like we said, you are not just a knowledge deliverer. You are now going to call yourself a learning designer, a mentor, and a coach. That is, when they used to say something that you are no longer sage on the stage. That is, you are no longer the person who knows everything. You are now a facilitator of learning. So you facilitate the learning of your students by teaching them from the side. And that's why you have to design all sorts of learning processes by which they are going to be great. There's a need for us to be reskilled, honestly, to understand digital pedagogy, to understand what happens to children, the social, emotional learning, to understand how to give personalized instruction. You see, what is happening is I think it's exciting. Nigeria has a huge youth bulge. Yet many of us are not prepared for this. This shows that there's an urgency to it, and there are also many opportunities. You remember what I said about teachers developing content, developing solutions, problem solving themselves. And there's an urgency because we can't wait. We have to do it now, So if I can go to the slide before this, please, you jumped a slide. Can I have that slide? Slide 12, thank you. So let's even talk about how teachers use technology. I'm just going to run through this. So please, technical team, I'm begging you, please, change the slides at my pace. We're going to go through this because there are so many things teachers can use technology for instruction and content delivery, for student engagement and collaboration, for personalized learning so that you teach each child in a personalized way. There's a solution for every child, for assessment and feedback to ensure that they are learning, for creativity and critical thinking, and then of course there are those mass things that are like teacher toolkit. So I want to talk about these one by one. Sorry, I missed communication. By the side. Yeah, I missed communication. So communication and classroom management. And so these are all the things that we do as teachers, isn't it? So if technology is helping us here, that's why I started off with what are the things technology cannot do. So why don't we let technology do a lot of these, and so that we can concentrate on caring for the students, on their mental and emotional well-being, on their happiness in class, on seeing that they're comfortable, on ensuring that they are learning. Why don't we focus on that? So that the technology can take away many of the little things that used to bother us. Look at lesson notes. In the early days, you would write 15-page lesson notes. There's no need for that anymore. The person preparing timetable, it will take weeks to prepare timetables. But now, in a few minutes, AI will prepare the timetable for the whole school, for every subject, for you. So for student engagement, how do we all learned formative assessment in College of Education, to assess that learning is taking place as we are teaching. How do you do it? How do you ensure it? It's not an easy thing to do when you don't deploy technology, but with technology now, and use a fun thing like I said, Kahoot, you will see whether your students are learning or they are not learning very easily. So let me run through very quickly. So slide 13, please. So for instruction, I just gave a few examples of each one. For instruction, interactive whiteboards, you use projectors, but that's kind of like minimal, You use videos and so on to explain abstract, complex models. For all these, I'll just use examples. And of course, you're on platforms like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams. I expect a great teacher to be on Google Classroom, on the Apple version of it, on Microsoft Teams. I expect a good teacher to be on that at this point that we are at. Look at, for example, I went to a class and the teacher was teaching about volcanoes and he played them a video and so on. So I told him to excuse me and I took over the class. Are you enjoying this? One of the girls said, when we were doing exams and they asked a question about volcano, I just remembered the video and of course I got the answer. So it's a visual way. I know, though it has been debunked, the theory of visual, auditory, kinesthetic learners has been debunked, but all the same, we need to have a variety of teaching methods in the classroom so that we engage all the children. So you can imagine, like that video, this girl remembered. Remember the Chinese proverb that what I see, I remember. So the next slide, 14. Again, we can use slide 14, please. We can, to ensure student engagement, you can use, like I said, Kahoot and quiz. For real-time quizzes, you ask a question, everybody, clicks, and then you have gamification, games, all sorts of educational games and digital badges. We have our local content in Nigeria. I think Edmodo, I can't remember, or one. There is one very, very good and interesting one in Nigeria that a lot of schools are using. So let's go on and talk about the next slide, which talks about personalized learning, where every child has software that they can that will help them read and learn at their own pace. I am involved with the Society for the Blind. We have something called JAWS, and with JAWS, our blind students can read, can learn, can entertain, collaborate on screen. So personalized for them. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, which is assessment and feedback. Again, online tests, formative assessment tools in the classroom. You have digital portfolios where the students showcase their work online, send it to you, and you're able to mark, send it back, understand where they are at. Next slide. You can also use it for communication and classroom admin, communicating with parents. I know schools where every day the parents, there are even schools abroad now where the parent has a video of what is happening in the classroom, or you take pictures and you show them what is going on all the time, so that parents, though I must confess, as an old-fashioned parent, I'm not sure I'll be looking at it. I've sent you to school, do what they are teaching you there now. But I guess new age parents want to see 24/7. You know, if we can have a creativity and critical thinking tools as well. Next slide, please. Slide 18, please. Yeah, I love this. I love this. I love this. I love using Canva. I'm not very good at it, but I love it. You know, there are 3D printers, the immersive, you know, you can visit the solar system on visual reality, see every planet, see what's on it. You can visit an art gallery using the VR, the goggles, you know. So really, really, there's too much. So if I can have the next slide. And then, of course, there are teacher toolkits that are just huge. I didn't even know how to explain all these. Please, 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 can you? Teacher's toolkit, creative and effective approaches, all in a single package. There are so many examples. I was going to go online, but I don't think I have enough time. But having said that, and having said all I have to say, you can build on it. Like I said, the keynote is simple. Somebody else will now build on what I've said. And these are things that you can use in the classroom. And there are not too many. They don't increase your work. They make your classrooms more fun, more adaptive, more engaging. The students learn better. It leads to deeper learning because you are now focused on the things that will lead to deeper learning for your students through your empathy, through your understanding of them, through your personalizing their learning and assessment. You know, I think I would now say a call to action. You see, as a whole, as a country, we need to invest in teacher digital competence. We cannot have people graduating from colleges of education with minimal understanding of how to use technology to improve their classroom practice. You know, we can give the people devices, but devices are expensive, but they're a small part of it. You can have a device and not know what to do with the device. So we have to invest in teacher digital competence. We have to reimagine how we prepare teachers and how we support them through initial teacher training, professional development in school, and through communities of practice. You see, professional training must be ongoing. It's not that you train today, then you think you've done the training. No, there must be in between, there must be a lot of things happening. It must be multidimensional, not one-off, you know. And one great way is using communities of practice, where teachers go online and discuss among themselves, whether it's on all sorts of groups. The simplest is WhatsApp group. This is how I taught this concept in physics. Oh, I did this in physics. Oh, I learned this. Oh, this is a very interesting website. Let's all visit it. And so that teachers are learning from themselves, because peer teaching is really remarkable. So I think we have to reimagine and get our teachers to collaborate and work together. We have to redefine teacher roles. I've said it, not just instructing, writing long notes on the board. I had a student years ago. I said, his father reported to me that he wasn't writing notes. I said, why aren't you writing notes? He said, I can Google it. It's in the textbook. I don't see why I should write notes. So you are having such children in your class. So what do you do? And then how do you help them so that they understand what they're doing? For example, when I said imagine teacher education, can you imagine? I had a student once too, recently, who somebody reported their son to me that he was writing essays using AI. And I said, how are you? You are an 8-year-old. How are you able to do this? He said, when they give me an essay in school, I just put it in ChatGPT and tell it to write it from an 8-year-old boy's perspective. An 8-year-old boy who likes football, who likes playing, who loves games. Just write it from that child's perspective. And it's perfect. When you don't understand it, when you don't understand how to read the language of AI and be able to help your students so that you know how to use it to improve their productivity and not treat it as something that, you know, the more you say don't use it, the more they are going to use it. Especially because we use it as well. We have to redefine, we have to do a lot of personal training. We have to support teacher well-being. I am a very great advocate of this because teaching is the greatest profession, I believe. I'm the daughter of 2 teachers. I'm proud to be a member of that profession. We have to support teachers so that they are proud of who they are, what they do. Teaching should be a profession of choice for a young person. It shouldn't be something you do because you can't find anything else to do. And then there are so many local solutions. I put a link there because CC Hub, who I must disclose, I do consult with them. They have a whole basket of Nigerian education technology solution providers. So you go to them. You go for ULesson. You go for Edmodo. You go with I forgot. There are so many around. I'm not telling you to do any, but remember they are local solutions and they are good too and not so expensive. Now let's call to action. Let's look at teachers. We look at teachers as if the only thing they can do is teach. Oh no. When you are a teacher, you are coming with a plethora of skills, leadership skills. You are a leader in your class and you lead initiatives, prize giving day, so, and so. You tell you to lead it. Lesson planning, that means you are a planner, an organizer, somebody with a vision and focus. A multitasker, you're able to do many things. You can speak and write. I mean, that goes without saying. Like I said, classroom management, you maintain order in the classroom. You can listen well, formative assessment, ongoing assessment. You are a team worker and collaborator. You can read a class. You can read whether the children are following or not. You are creative and innovative and you have a lot of digital skills. How can somebody like that not know that they are great professionals and that they must influence the future? People outside should not come and be influencing the future and telling us this is how we should teach. We are the ones with this. This is just, I had a website that had 30 skills. I just took a few in my research. So the final slide. So how can we leverage these skills? Because I want to call to action. I've told the school leaders, organizers, and so on what they should do, investing in teacher training and so on, and making and improving, building up teacher self-esteem and being willing to look into local solutions. But as a teacher, there are certain things that a teacher, go and find out the 10 habits of tech-savvy teachers. Remember some things. Teach using technology where possible. According to Lang, great teachers evolve their practice to reflect the tools at their disposal. And you are teaching at a remarkable time when you have a huge number of tools at your disposal. You don't have to use every tool. You can specialize in one or two that support your classroom practice. Adapt to your students. Make sure their voices are heard. Make sure this is not entertainment, play acting, enjoyment for enjoyment's sake, but this is deep teaching and learning. Do not be afraid of technology, but don't follow it blindly either. I don't believe every subject, every topic, every time you have to use technology. Sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes you just need to use other tools of 21st century teachers, using your creativity and innovation, using your collaboration and so on to teach in other ways that do not necessarily involve technology. You can. Just don't be afraid of it. But if you don't have to use it, you don't have to use it. But if it will help your work, I suggest that you use it. And I suggest that you develop your own content and strategies. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I've not talked for too long. That's a problem with those teachers, we talk too much. But thank you for having me. You are muted, Blessing.
Oh, thank you so much, Ma. Powerful. That was amazing and insightful. Something I picked out from the whole conversation that actually hit me hard is technology is an enabler and not our master. I think teachers need to hear this over and over and over again. Oftentimes, when I meet with teachers, it's always a challenge. They say, what is AI? What is this? Children are not thinking again. They begin to critique and what have. The truth is that as teachers, we need these tech tools. Thank you so much. And there's something Mr. Adefisayo said. She said, go and find out the 10 habits of a tech-savvy teacher. I think that's an assignment for every one of us on this call. What are the habits of the 10 habits of a tech-savvy teacher? Please, if you have a question for her, please kindly drop it on the chat. It will be attended to. But I quickly take on the next. I run over time. All right, our next speaker is all the way from Kenya. And I'll be reading her biography quickly. Then we can have a full conversation. Now, our second keynote speaker is no other but Dr. Joan Kena-Nguzi. She is the founder and CEO of Beacon Teachers Africa, a Pan-Africa organization that advocates the rights of the child and provides teacher psychosocial support. She is a global teacher, a global leader in her own right. She is a Kenyan sociologist who pushed for the compensation of the 1998 Nairobi bomb blast survivors, making submission in the U.S. District Court, against which the compensation was granted. She led the trauma recovery effort for Teachers Service Commission bomb blast survivor, rallying the management to accord the survivor disaster recovery responsive policy and measure. Courtesy of her tenacity, Teachers Service Commission became the first government department to receive a medical cover from the government. Dr. Chuan Nguzi is an accomplished author, leader, manager, consultant with over 30 years of experience across various sectors. She has led high-profile training in employee rejuvenation and performance improvement initiatives for many institutions across the country, trained women, empowered under UN Women Disaster Prevention and Response under AMREF, teacher support discipline under the Pan International Equity Bank, the Teacher Service Commission, and led the development of the TSC, Teacher Service Commission, Customer Care, Gender and Disability Policy. Dr. Joan Nguzi is also a renowned researcher and led the TSC research on policies, systems, and procedures for dealing with teacher sexual offenders, and was instrumental in the establishment of the TSC database on teacher sexual offender. Dr. Nguzi was part of a small team that led the development of the first TSC strategic plan between 2010 to 2015. She is credited for the design and implementation of the Teacher Performance and Integrity in Kenya project between 2014 to 2016, which evolved to the Well Accord TPAD, Teacher Performance Appraiser and Development, currently implemented in all of the schools in Kenya. Dr. Joan Nguzi was also instrumental in leading reforms for the Teacher Service Commission customer care service delivery. Her passion for better service for the public is palpable. She has worked as a high school teacher, a principal, and a deputy director for administration, gender and child protection at the TSC head office, as a general manager for education and leadership at Equity Bank, and as a county minister in Mbu County government, successfully managing the docket of health and later trade, tourism, and investment. Dr. Joan Nguzi holds a PhD in education from Kenyatta University, a Master of Art degree in sociology from University of Nairobi, and a bachelor degree in education from Moore University. She also holds a certificate in strategic leadership and development from the Kenya School of Government and a certificate in strategic planning and management from the Witwatersrand University, South Africa, and a certificate in mediation and mindset education from Korean Good News Mission. Permit me with a loud ovation and display of emoji to welcome our second keynote speaker, Dr. Joan Nguzi. Wow, thank you for the emoji, Dr. Joan Nguzi. While we are waiting for Dr. Joan Nguzi, please, you can drop your question for our keynote speakers on the chat. Definitely at some point, we are going to take that up. All right. Dr. Joan Nguzi. Okay, while we're waiting for Dr. Joan to log on and take her session, I'd like to say thank you so much for those joining this call all the way from, I could see people coming from different parts of the world, from Dakar, from Nairobi, from Kenya, from Kenyatta, here in Lagos, from Ibadan, all over. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. Dr. Joan, are you ready? Okay. Okay, Dr. Joan, can you unmute? Yeah, you need to unmute. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Loud and
Can
clear.
you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yes, clearly, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and for granting me this opportunity to share my experiences on education from Kenya. Can somebody see my screen then?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yeah, we can
Thank you.
see.
Thank you. So I'll start my presentation with a small story. A few years ago, when my son was in grade 5, I went on a school visiting day, and I'm really building on what the previous speaker has laid ground on. On the visiting day, as we were conversing with my son, even though he was in grade 5, he asked me if he could do his primary examination. As in, can I wind up primary school? Now, this is a child in grade 5, but is insisting on doing the examination now. And so I asked him why he wanted to do the exam. And he said, I have looked through some of the past papers and I see that I'm able to answer most of the questions. So can I not just do the exam now? And I said, no, you do exam in primary 8. And he was very distraught. He asked me, why do I have to wait up to class 8 if I can answer the questions? Now, that is the essence of having the conversations today about teaching in a generation that has moved on. My topic is on building future-ready teachers. If you can see my screen, confirm, that is a teacher who has missed us. Can you see it?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
Thank you. So the teacher missed the bus. He's trying to stride, but no avail. In today's world, we want to ask ourselves what moved, because our conference is about teaching in a generation that moved on. What moved? And in order for us to understand how to build future-ready teachers, we must first and foremost understand what moved and from where to where. We must recognize that the ideas and systems of yesteryears cannot effectively function for quality education. Issues of technology. We're in an era catalyzed with human rights, equity, and equality. The teacher seems to be the only carrier of knowledge in a school system. A few years ago when I taught in high school, a student, in the course of my lesson, had me mispronouncing something. Okay, according to her, I was mispronouncing, true or might be otherwise. And when I confronted her, when I engaged her to explain why she thought the answer was different, because we had a bit of argument on a particular word. My wiring was for Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary as a teacher of English. The student in 1994 told me, I Googled. My friend, if you're a teacher in this forum, I want you to flash back to 1994 and tell me how a child, a student, Googled. I did not even understand what Googling meant. That was my predicament. That was a sad day for me. Anyway, technology has shrunk time and space. Communication has moved on from face to face to digital. Now we are talking to people from across different countries. Many years ago, it could not happen. Cultural values have also moved. And those who are community gatekeepers, the cultural gatekeepers seem to have also figured something different. Human interactions have changed. Spirituality has changed. The way we look at spirituality is not how we look at it today. Understanding of phenomenon. And then we have issues of climate. What we considered climate a few years ago is totally different. We were used to a climate that was consistent, like where I come from in the village. We knew on 21st of October, we should be planting because the rain would fall on that day. Now, the rain falls anytime. What changed? Today's learners ask questions teachers find difficult to answer. And today's learners also have an idea of how things should work. It is not like us who rely totally on the teacher. We bought the teacher script wholesome. Today's learners are also ahead of teachers, and they are not just confrontational, but they seek to understand the question, why? And teachers have to constantly deal with that question, why? Some of the learners here in Kenya are asking why school must start at 8 o'clock. Is there no other time school can start? Why should we leave school at 4 p.m.? Why can't we just go to school at midday? Learners are also better equipped with technology than teachers in most countries across Africa. And so teachers are caught up in a situation of confusion. Before you have even figured out how to express your idea, the student has Googled and is giving you 5 points for your 1 point. So even following the books that are written is no longer working as it used to do before. Today's learners also know what they want. So what they do is they can also decide to leave for you the school. Many of them are opting to learn online. And so things are getting more and more complex in our country and across Africa. Teaching is no longer viewed as a job of prestige. There's no more reverence for teachers. Those years, every parent used to wake up in the village carrying chicken to take to the teacher, thinking well of the teacher, trying to support them. Today, they wake up armed with clubs to go and club at the teacher for failing to do this or that. The future readiness matters now. And why is it so? When the fourth industrial revolution and AI is threatening to kick out a lot of systems that we have. We're in automation. And then the gig economy. Oh my God. A few months ago, my son told me, who's a university student, told me not to pay fees. He actually asked me, how much did you pay the other term? I need to refund some of your money. And I asked him, where did you get the money? He said, I have some gigs. Some gigs. So we're in a gig economy. African demographic shift. The youth population is growing fastest globally, 100 million, 400 million youth. Teachers are the fulcrum for learning, upon which education is anchored. And without future-ready teachers, future-ready learners remain a dream. And future readiness guarantees we can get to that future and thrive. Now, what are the characteristics then of future-ready teacher? And we need to have a conversation around these characteristics so that we see how well we are prepared. Are our teachers ready for that future that we're talking about? Can we bank on our teachers? As the future teacher or the future ready teacher will have the interest and well-being at the core of interaction with learners. This teacher will look at each learner as an individual. They will teach specifically and not generally. Where I went to primary school, they used to beat us for every answer that was given that was wrong, and sometimes they beat us specifically and generally. For offenses we were never told up to now. A teacher must be an investor in the learner, and that future-ready teacher cares about everything that unsettles the learner. Is a salesperson for their subject. Many teachers just teach the subject, but they seldom look at themselves as the salespersons for their subjects. Now, a salesperson makes sure that what they're selling, the product, the details are delivered with precision, that they speak to your emotions, that they will bring a product that is not so good, but a good salesman will actually get you buying that product. So that future teacher, the future ready teacher must be a good salesperson for their subject, must view the subject as a product and ensure that children can buy their product. That teacher is informed and armed with the day's trends, stories. With technology, that teacher must keep searching, keep checking. Some of the students will have short videos of you teaching or teaching badly or messing in class, and they'll post on TikTok. A teacher for the future is innovative in pedagogical approaches, utilizing inquiry, project-based approach, digital integration. They must be tech-enabled, blending face-to-face and digital approaches using AI responsibly. Now, with AI, and this is where the catch is, this is where part of the challenges to the teacher. AI is giving the student 15 points of your subject, of the points that you're trying to make in class, and your points are 4. So the student is left wondering, how come you don't know all these other points? And that challenges us to continue searching, utilizing technology, blending that face-to-face with digital technology, getting information beyond the boundaries, the confines of the book. We must have teachers who are culturally relevant, leveraging African heritage and local contexts. Many teachers here in Africa and in Kenya, they are torn between their Africanization and their Westernization. If you can learn to effectively blend the two, then you deliver a richer lesson than without blending. They must have growth mindset and see challenges as opportunities, and they must be models of resilience. Today's student is asking why, how, when, which calls for a change of mindset. It calls for a rethinking of our approaches and our attitudes. The teacher must be a mentor and a facilitator, not just a content deliverer like some of our old teachers. Must be a co-learner. An era has come when instead of asking students, what did you learn? You ask, what did we learn? So that you make yourself part and parcel of the learning process. You're teaching, yes, but students need to know that you're also learning together, because when you get points from them, you add them to your notes, you have learned something. When they have Googled, they have gone to AI and they have raised additional points, you put them down. You have learned from them. Meet this teacher, this amazing teacher from Kenya, who bonds so well with students that wherever a student is in difficulty, she is able to navigate all the cultural issues and get the children back on the right track. Rwanda is a good example of utilization of IT in education. In Rwanda, I'm told they are at another level with ICT integration across teacher training. They have smart classrooms across the nation, digital literacy programs. Teachers are equipped to use online resources, e-learning, data tools. Lesson, targeted policy and investment transforms teacher readiness. In other words, teacher readiness, that is targeted, that has targeted policy, or that is backed by targeted policy, then it will transform teacher readiness. In Kenya, I say Kenya is a classic example of that futuristic thinking. While the rest of Africa, of course, has their own milestones, in Kenya, we are very proud about the competency-based curriculum, CBC. This curriculum seeks to prepare learners for creativity, collaboration, and citizenship. And because we are already implementing CBC, we have seen a shift from the old school, from the traditional school, to a new space where some of the teachers who are still hanging in their old selves have to struggle. We have a shift from rote learning, which was largely memorization, to competencies and skills. So we are no longer asking students about what they learned, what they had. We ask them what they know, what they have gained in terms of skills. What are they able to do with the information, with the knowledge that they have acquired from learning in class? And then we're also minimizing the traditional lesson, where you just start looking at the teacher, all of you, 40 of you, all the eyes on teacher, and 40 minutes was spent just looking at that being. At the end of the day, sometimes you did not catch anything. Teachers are now trained to design learning activities and not just cover content. Teachers in Kenya also are empowered as curriculum implementers and co-creators. And this we say kudos to our Ministry of Education and the Teacher Service Commission and the development partners that have come to support. And we'd like to say kudos also to the World Bank that has done amazing work. Some of the building blocks for future-ready teachers include teacher training reforms. Remember, unless we equip teachers with requisite skills, knowledge, and attitudes, they will continue hanging in the old space. In Kenya here, teacher reforms include embedded innovation, design thinking, digital pedagogy, and child-friendly approaches. Through SIKI program of the Ministry of Education that is funded by the World Bank, Kenya seeks to retool teachers to be more supportive as it provides requisite infrastructure in hard-to-reach areas and in refugee camp schools. We are looking at a situation where within the next few years, Kenya will be on the global map for its education delivery. Continuous professional development, and we said kudos to Teacher Service Commission here in Kenya for their TMEC program, a program that provides mentorship for teachers, helps build peer communities, and basically repackages the teacher for delivery of curriculum effectively. We are policy and leadership support also. The ministries must incentivize innovation, not just compliance. It's time to showcase teachers and their learners. The competition and exhibitions are not enough. I know a lot of times we have science exhibitions, we have science competitions, we have science congresses, but this is not good enough. Now we are calling in the media to broadcast, to showcase more of those teachers who are doing amazing work. We are calling in the communities. Chiefs barazas here means like chiefs meetings, where the chief calls the community to deliver a certain message, and every other forum to celebrate innovation. Now, a lot of times teachers will do amazing things, they will train students, and those students will create a lot of, sometimes phenomenal works. But there is seldom celebration of those teachers. They just get a trophy or a certificate to say your team was #1. But what else? How does the neighbor know that this teacher was #1? How does the next person in the next county know that this teacher should be celebrated? The mindset and culture, growth mindset, resilience and adaptability in both teachers and learners. These are building blocks for future ready teachers. We have reiterated the value of technology integration, access and skills to use ICT meaningfully, and the teachers must be able to deploy technology to deliver meaningful lessons and keep abreast with latest information and innovations. I dare say, with today's technology, lessons can be more exciting. Let the teacher capture themselves teaching and let them replay the students responding to the questions on a video. That creates some level of excitement that will also ignite more participation by learners. Now, here is a teacher in Kenya who has made it to head of state commendation on account of his interactions with children, with learners. He's called Teacher Robert. When the children see him, they want to be taught by Teacher Robert. Now, in the future readiness, we must think about the teachers who are attractive to learners, teachers who attract favor from learners, teachers who excite learners to the extent that the learner will wake up earlier than usual. They'll be in school earlier than routine. They will complete their work in record time because there's excitement in the air. Role of schools and ministries of education, development partners. One is to promote local languages to give each learner equal opportunity. Some of the learners may not be very good at speaking English, but for sure there's nothing wrong with our languages. I believe you can learn technology in local language. I learned to cook my local staple food in local language, so I can learn many other things. You can learn technology. You can learn equations. You can learn Pythagoras theorem in local language. Provide time and space for teacher experimentation. Recognize and reward teacher innovation in awards, promotions, grants, etc. Encourage local solutions. Sorry, I have birds at the background, so I don't know how to tell them to keep quiet. Encourage local solutions, such as using indigenous knowledge in STEM. I've talked about that. Build partnerships with NGOs, tech companies, universities. And while we are talking about partnerships, the future ready teacher should create time even to take children to those spaces. Let them see what a real tech company looks like. How does it operate? How do we produce cement? How do we produce pens? How is paper made from wood? So teachers should create more opportunities for children to interact with real life or with real tech companies. Promote positive discipline. And positive discipline here refers to non-punitive approaches to learner discipline management, a very critical point for the teachers of the future. If there is positivity, If teachers learn to connect with children, with learners, then the children feel more valued. They feel a sense of belonging and significance, and this is what would keep them in school. One of the challenges that we have as a nation, and I believe it goes across Africa, is high dropout rates of school children. And why do children drop out? When they peep at school and they realize whatever is happening there is not friendly. I was chatting with a street urchin one time and I asked him, how come you don't go to school? Why did you drop out of school? In local language, we use, why did you refuse school or reject school? And the little boy told me, I did not reject school. It is the school that rejected me. Food for thought. Now, I want to quote the words of Alvin Toffler, that the illiterate of the 21st century will be those people who cannot learn and learn and relearn. Look at this picture. That boy is from a slum area in a coastal city called Mombasa. That photo was taken by a random person who was walking along this road and found the boy. Why was the boy reading under the street lights? Because they did not have power in their house. And he had been doing his assignments under these street lights until this random person took the photo and posted it on social media. And here we're emphasizing the power of technology, the power also of social media. And when this got to us as Beacon Teachers Africa, we looked for him and we bought them solar power. And from that day until further notice, their home became like the hub for children in the community, in the slum area, to come and do their homework in the evenings. I don't know how many of us in our time would have thought of something like this. A generation that moved on. While we are thinking about what we don't have, they are thinking about what is available and how they can utilize it. Some key barriers to future readiness. Ladies and gentlemen, we have resistance to change. We still have teachers who feel like this is a waste of time. We are being told to get into Zoom meeting. Why Zoom meeting? We are being told to do virtual classes. Why virtual classes? Why can't we just work together? Why can't we just travel? Why can't we just be together? And some of them argue that it is sweeter to learn when they are face-to-face than on virtual. These are the ones who have refused to move on. They are hanging in the old. Limited digital infrastructure, especially in rural areas, is also a barrier. Teacher workload and lack of time for innovation. In Kenya, there's a word called enyewe, wako na job. That means, truly speaking, teachers are busy. So the workload. But then that workload can be reduced again by the use of innovative systems, by the use of technology. And that's why we call upon the teachers again and again to think about utilizing technology so that you reduce the time you spend in creating your lesson plans, in preparing for your lesson. You reduce on the energy and the stress you suffer trying to explain content to children. When you can just play a video and the children get it. Assessment systems are still exam heavy in many countries, and Kenya is trying, but there are still challenges with unlearning and offloading old mindsets. Parents' involvement is by fire, by thunder, not a negotiated process. Today's parents don't want to be bothered. Yesterday's parents did not want to be bothered. A parent takes you to school and leaves you there and moves on. When you close school, you don't even have fare to go home because the parent does not know that you're closing. They never asked you for some of them did not ask you for your report card because they couldn't read. But today's parent is busy looking for money, and so involvement of them here in Kenya, I think it's like other places, is by fire, by order. by policy. If you start negotiating, sometimes you get negative results. They'll tell you how frustrated they are and how they don't have time even to work with their kids. Now, how do we overcome these barriers then? One, the national development plans must put education first. Infrastructure remains a key barrier to accessing technology. Sometimes we hear, oh, the budget was cut. We had planned to do this, but now we've only been provided with this. And this calls for more lobbying by the ministries of education and the Teachers Service Commission across the different countries to educate legislators on why things must be what you're proposing. Phased reforms, pilots, test, scale, or scale up. In some instances, we end up piloting. Why? Because we did not plan for the scale up, or because the partner who help us scale up went under. And so we are also challenged to find broader partnerships. Effective child participation is important. We always, as Africans, call ourselves the custodians of everything, and we think everything we propose or plan is good for the children. Let the children participate more. Let the children be asked what they think about a process. I was doing a research somewhere. When I was doing my research on child abuse, I asked children what should be done to teachers who abuse children. And the proposals they gave me were nowhere in the teacher management policies. They had totally different proposals. So they also have their say. Equity focus. We must ensure rural teachers have tools and support. In Kenya, many teachers are complaining. I was posted to a place without network. There is no electricity where I have been posted. How can we help such teachers? Now again, that takes us to planning for development. Is a development plan and thinking about those teachers and how they will not be able to utilize technology if they don't have electricity, for instance, if they don't have the requisite infrastructure. Then professional learning communities and teachers, we're saying learn from peers. We should create formidable communities of practice for teachers and encourage them to join those communities. Assessment reforms, align exams with skills, not just memories. And we are trying very hard here in Kenya to do that. But again, we say, oh, have this die hard. Some of the parents are still complaining. They want to see grade A, grade B, grade C. That is how they grew up. They do not know whether the child has learned unless there's a grade attached to it. Segmentation and territorial spirit. Those who know want to remain as the only knowers, if there's such a word, because of competition. It's time to review policies and reward those who supported most children, most learners, most communities. Vision for future-ready learning in Africa, teachers utilizing IT in more robust ways, schools where safety is a right, not a privilege. Classrooms where students create, not just consume. Teachers confident with both local wisdom and global tools. Schools as hubs of innovation, collaboration, and resilience. A generation equipped for uncertain futures, and African leadership on global stage. My call to action is that teacher training must focus on digital learning as a pivotal point. Teachers must embrace innovation, model growth mindset, and must let go of their old attitudes. Teacher employers must be more supportive, more caring. In today's world and across the world, many teachers have mental health issues. And some of these have to do with the issues that we have raised. Poor infrastructure, lack of financial management skills, stress relating to GBV issues in their homes, etc., etc. So the teacher employers must be more proactive, they must be more supportive. Leaders must create enabling policies and reward systems. These reward systems must reward in such a manner that the teacher feels rewarded. For many years, and I used to see my primary school teachers, and up to this day, that the rewards have been around paperwork, certificates, they have been around trophies. And teachers are beginning to ask questions: for how long? How many trophies can I keep in my house? And most of the time, those trophies don't even sit in teachers' houses. They sit in the principal's houses or in the principal's office. Partners need to invest in teacher capacity and infrastructure, and together we build not just future-ready teachers, but future-ready children and societies. Peer-to-peer learning through communities of practice is paramount. I'll leave with a quote. The future of Africa is not written in policy documents, but in the classrooms where every teacher should mine the learner's potential. And whenever you use that, remember to say, it is by me. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say, for paying attention, I say thank you. God bless you.
Wow. Wow. This is so deep and insightful. Thank you so, so much, Dr. Joan Nguzi. Wow. One thing I picked out of this, I picked something under the characteristics of a future-ready teacher. He said a future-ready teacher is a salesperson for the subject. I got that. That's stuck with me deeply. You don't just deliver content, you co-create content. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is deeply noted. And one of the things we aim to achieve at Education Research Initiative is three things: transforming learning, empowering educators and leaders, and lastly, to influence policy and scale innovation. These are the three areas we are rooted in achieving, and a lot of your policies came to play here. So many policies to pick up on what is working in Kenya that could be tried elsewhere in Nigeria and other countries. Thank you so much, Dr. Joan Nguzi. Thank you. Without much ado, we quickly take our third speaker, our third keynote speaker. She's right on the call. I'll quickly take her biography. Our third keynote speaker this evening is Dr. Adetola Salau. She is a visionary educator, author, and a STEM advocate dedicated to transforming education in Africa. She currently serves as a special advisor to the Honorable Minister of Education on STEM and corporate sector engagement. She holds a BSc in chemistry from Fordham University, 2 master's degree in chemical engineering and engineering management from Syracuse University, and a PhD in curriculum, instruction, and the science of learning from the University at Buffalo. Dr. Salau began her career teaching mathematics in New York public schools and went on to teach in several US states. In 2015, she founded Charisma for You Educational Foundation, a social innovation enterprise aimed at empowering African youth with essential STEM skills to thrive in a rapidly changing world. She previously served as a special advisor on education to the executive governor of Kwara State, where she led strategic initiatives in policy formulation and human capital development, and also the senior special assistant on education to the governor of Lagos State, where she played a key role in integrating STEM education in school system and enhancing teachers training. Internationally recognized, Dr. Salau has participated in the MIT Innovation and Entrepreneurship Bootcamp and contributed to global discussion on STEM for sustainable development through the Smithsonian Science Education Center An accomplished author of over 10 books, her work centered on preparing young Africans for the demands of the 21st century. Her mission is to empower over 2 million youths with critical thinking, innovation, and future readiness by 2030. Permit me to welcome our third keynote speaker in person of Dr. Adetola Salau. We can use emoji to celebrate her. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to our audience for being very attentive. I hope we are preparing our questions. Please kindly drop your question on the chat for any of our keynote speakers. It's very, very important. This is a critical conversation that we need to have. I'm also a teacher. What they've said is nothing far short of the truth. It's just the truth. We've seen teachers struggling in this tech age, where AI is becoming the norm. Permit me to share an experience. I teach BTech under Pearson. It's a Pearson certified course, which is like a portfolio form of assessment, performance type of work. And in this portfolio, my student had to do like a research. So there is my learner. He's turned in his work. Immediately, I opened the document. I just told him, this is AI. And immediately, the young chap was shocked. He said, Mrs. Omoshibi, how do you know? I said, I know. I said, I'm going to drop your work on plagiarism checker. Immediately, I copied the work and I dropped it on plagiarism checker, and it came out to red. And they read 100% AI. And the boy was amazed. He said, do you know that you are the only teacher I have sent something to that actually knew that I used AI? So that is a wake-up call for teachers. We need to know these things. We need to take courses on AI. Like I really put down something that Mrs. Adefusayo said, that technology is an enabler. It is to help us. It is not our master. And there is a friend of mine that will always say something. He said, teachers that will lose their job are the teachers that refuse to embrace technology. The earlier we do, the better we are. Do I have on the call now, Dr. Adetola Salau?
Yes, I am on the call.
Thank you
I
so
see that you
much
want
for
me to start
joining.
video. I wasn't planning on being on video. I don't know whether it's okay to
It's
go
fine, it's
without
fine,
being on
it's fine,
video.
it's fine, it's
Okay,
fine.
please. I had to come out for a family meeting, and I'm still there, and that's why I was late. But because I gave my word that I'm going to be on here, I wrapped up the family meeting and I'm here now. So good evening, everyone. I am I actually was listening to her talk about the characteristics of the future ready teacher. And I have to say, while she was talking about that, I went down memory lane. Wow, it's almost 25 years ago. Almost 25 years ago when I started teaching. And so many memories, so much. And I still remain convinced that education is one of the most important, if not the most important tool that we have in our arsenal. Today, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what are the key things that we need to really sit down
Hello, am I?
and realize that critical for us as educators.
Hello, can we see her? Or is it just from my end?
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Oh my God, network. I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
What about now?
Yes,
Can you hear
yes,
me now?
yes, yes.
Okay. I apologize. Network issues, as we all know.
Sorry.
I know. I started my journey as an educator almost 25 years to her for over almost 20 minutes. And she was talking about the characteristics of future-ready teachers and all the things that they should be. And I started having flashback moments about when I started out as an educator myself. And one of the key things that struck me when I started listening to her and reminiscing was how education is no longer confined to the four walls of a classroom. I want to repeat that again, okay? That right now, to me, the biggest shift that I see from when I was that newbie teacher in when did I start? 2001 to where I am now as a policymaker in 2025. The biggest shift that I see now is that education is no longer confined to the four walls of a classroom. The world has moved on, our learners have moved on, our challenges are a lot deeper now, and the opportunities have expanded. We must be bold to rethink not just how we teach, but also how we're delivering education and how we're partnering in order for us to make this transformation a reality. It will be really, really critical for us to understand that we need to respond to this shift, to these changes. On the other hand, from being in the private sector and now being in the public sector, I see now that no single institution can carry the weight of transforming education alone. Neither government, neither the schools, or even the tools that we're utilizing, EdTech. There must be synergy. There must be a partnership across the board. I am always been and will continue to be a staunch advocate that for transformation to really occur, we must bring everybody together, the public sector, the private sector, civil society, academia, communities. We must all have a shared vision. And for me, this shared vision, well, the way I envision it is government providing policy and opportunities for scale. The private sector brings innovators who have technology and efficiency, resources, and communities. And then we educators provide cultural context and sustainability. And then the partners, particularly the global partners, will bring a knowledge exchange programs for us and innovation pipelines that we can utilize. I believe that when all these forces converge, education will become more inclusive, accessible, and sustainable. I know you've heard it so many times. I'm just going to be repeating what you've heard again. Technology is just a tool, but we should also make sure that this tool does not exacerbate inequality. Our goal is not just to create these tools using technology just for a few, but for us to design equitable educational technology solutions that will reach underserved and rural children. particularly those that don't have reliable power. And also reach out to our girls who are excluded by biases and our learners who are displaced due to crisis situations. Okay, I see somebody has a question. Just give me a minute. True education transformation is not measured by how advanced our platforms are, but how many people are we impacting? So when I think about this, what comes to me is solutions that can work in environments that are resource scarce, and for teachers and learners to work together, co-create, to make sure that what the students are learning is relevant, and for the teachers to also adapt to what their learners require. And finally, leveraging partnerships to subsidize costs so that it's really equitable for all. Please, should I pause to answer questions now, or should I just continue? Okay.
Go ahead, Bam. Go ahead,
Yes, sir.
please. Yes.
I should go ahead. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when I was reflecting, listening to her talk about the future-ready educators and characteristics, I realized that right now we have a new wave of transformation, and everyone is talking about it. She mentioned it, and she talked about how that's even the convener talked about how that student was impressed by the fact that she was able to realize that AI was utilized for that student's learning. AI is here to stay. I mean, we should all embrace it. We should all see how to utilize it for our students. And I believe the biggest ways that we can utilize this is personalized learning paths, adaptive assessments, and using it to meet our learners where they are. But we should also make sure that there's equity when we're deploying it. At the end of it, what is all of this that we're doing? What is the end goal for what we're doing for our students? The end goal is that right now we have a rapidly changing job market. They need learning that is more flexible. They need modular skill acquisition. And what they need now is not the degrees that we had 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Right now, they need learning that emphasizes competency, being able to have skills that they can demonstrate to employers and utilize for work. Micro-credentialing empower continuous upskilling and reskilling. This is something that it will behoove us to start seeing how we can fold it into our learning strategies here in Africa. We need ecosystems that will allow our learners to move seamlessly from basic to more advanced skills at any age and any stage. We shouldn't let learning be restricted by age anymore. Remember what I said, that I sat down and I was reflecting about what it was like when I was teaching, being in the classroom over 2 decades ago. Right now, I have to tell you, one of the things that always blows my mind away is how learning has nothing to do with age anymore. It has to do with this mindset of the person who is a learner. You can see people who are 12, 13-year-olds go on and on telling you about these things that they've been able to create, how they've been able to create this website, how they've been able to create this app and this solution. It has nothing to do with their age. It has to do with the competencies that they have and the ability to think critically and be able to problem solve. That's all it is. Technology is the tool that we're going to use, but it's not the destination. It is the bridge that we're going to be able to use to utilize learning equitably for all these different kinds of learners. I want us educators to embrace this new wave of learning so that we can reset education like we're discussing right now today, but go beyond that and redefine it for generations to come. I want us to commit to this vision. If there's a vision I want us to have, it is that we're going to reset it and then now create new parameters by redefining it for these learners that we have right now and the future ones that are going to come. And this education system that we're going to be creating is going to be inclusive, it's going to be innovative, and it's going to be transformative. We're going to leave no children behind. And every learner will be prepared for the world that none of us can envision. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salau. Now you can attend to the question quickly. Why is government so slow in making conducive policies to open up the education space for many actors to come in and support?
This is a very loaded question, and I love it. And I can tell that educators that are here, because they're the ones we are the ones who ask questions like that. And I say we because I tell everyone and I keep insisting that every room, everywhere I am, I see myself as an educator first. My parents were educators. I am an educator and will remain one until the day I die. Why is government so slow? Yeah. The honest truth about that is government is mired in a lot of bureaucracy. There's no two ways around that. No matter what countries, and I'm saying this as someone who has worked in different nations, and in the States, I was a public school teacher. So I know about the public sector, education, the public sector over there. And then now in Nigeria, I'm also now in the public sector over here. So I know about the public sector. And the unfortunate truth is that it's mired in a lot of bureaucracy. But I have to say, one of the things that gives me hope about all that bureaucracy, all that red tape, is that you do see people who are still trying to wade through all of that morass, all of those obstacles. You see people who are trying. Why am I insisting and why am I stressing this? I remember, how did I start this? I started it by reminiscing on what it was like almost 25 years ago, me being in the classroom, me being that newbie. And I have to tell you, what helped me to get through the red tape were some of my colleagues that were progressive, who gave me tips, who gave me advice, who showed me the way. It's the same when you are in our policy making spaces. There are pockets of people who are progressive, who really are desiring and pushing and clamoring for changes and working on it. My goal is, and my hope is that there'll be more of us like that. And when you find those people, go work with them. Go see what can you do with them. I can personally say this. I personally did my best when I worked with Lagos State, and that was that was the 3-year stint, to have an open door policy to anybody who came to my office, say, look, I have this idea, I'm thinking of this, what can we do? I said, let's come have a demo, come show us what you're doing. How can we have a pilot around what you're doing? What is it? Can you come test this out, maybe in so school? How can we sit down together? Do you know how to write grants? Do you know how to get funding? Even if it's just for a micro scale project. So I'm saying this to encourage us. I don't want us to get bogged down to think, oh, it's hopeless. There's no point. Why should I even try? Please don't give into that. I'm not also going to be Pollyannish and say that, oh my God, it's all roses and it's easy. No, it's not. But I also don't want us to give into despair. Okay, so is there another question? I think there was another one. Oh, okay. Concern about environmental use. Please, who was that? Do you have a specific question, or you were just making a comment about being an environmentalist? I think this person is Gervais. Do you have a specific one? Because that's another thing I love to discuss all the time, is climate change and how do we address that in the classroom? How do we make our students to become proactive? Because it affects them. It has to do with their futures. It has to do with their lives. But if you don't have a specific question about that, that's fine. Do you have anything you want to add? Oh, okay. Okay. You are a founder of an environmental NGO. Well done. Thank you so much. Well done. Please keep up that good work. Our students need people like you to educate them and to enlighten them about how important their environment is to them now and, of course, in their immediate futures. Thank you. Please, do you have anything else you want to add, or is there anything else someone has? Maybe
Any more
private,
questions for
sent you
Dr.
privately.
Salau? All right. I think Dr. Salau, I'll collate all the questions that are for you and send across to you. But there is this one for Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo. Let me take that question quickly. He said, looking back at the pandemic year, what do you think was the most important lesson the education system learned, and which lesson have we still failed to act on? Thank you so much, Dr. Salau. You can still hang on in case there are questions for you. I'll definitely
Okay.
get that across. Okay. Mrs. Awufusaya, are you still there?
I did
Yeah,
say.
there's this question. Is that looking back at the pandemic years, what do you think was the most important lesson education system learned, and which lesson have we still failed to act on?
Well, the education system, I think we learned that children can learn anywhere. Remember that you don't need the four walls of the classroom to confine to ensure that children learn. That if you provide the right tools for them, they will learn and they will do well. We learned that, but I don't think that we have acted sufficiently on it. I think too soon after the pandemic, we forgot and went back to same old, same old. But not in all cases, because it did affect us a bit when we saw that. I think there was a lot more after that of integration with technology, because people saw that by using a lot of tools, we can help children even out of children even in distressed circumstances. They were taught during that period using things like radio, using television, using anything around them. So I think it taught us a lot of lessons about how children learn. But I'm not sure that we've internalized completely, but it's a shift in thinking, and change is always slow.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right, this question is for Dr. Juan Guzi. I think you touched it a bit, but this person wants you to look. I said, you have spoken about teachers as innovators and not just implementers. What structure or mindset currently blocks teachers from innovating, and how do we break those barriers?
Thank you, Blessing, and thank you for that question. There are teachers, when it comes to innovation, you innovate with what is within your environment. You don't have to think about things or tools or stuff that you don't have within your environment. You can innovate. And I'll give you one example. Here in Kenya, a few months ago, we were watching videos of two school dropouts who decided to make prosthetic arms, a um, solar powered prosthetic arm. But they've never been to anybody's techno class. They have never even completed the syllabus for physics. They dropped out in Form 2. Form 2 here is like you go to high school, you just do 1 year, and the second year of high school, you drop out. They did not import anything. They used waste materials from dustbins. So for the teacher, the first thing to do is to make sure that you recognize each child as an innovator. Them for ideas. Ask them, how can we do this? How can we do this? Who knows how to do this? Even that's an idea of how to do things. Innovativeness is not time. How do you increase your time within the 24 hours? You have 8 lessons in school on a normal school day. How do you increase the 40 minutes that you're supposed to be teaching? How do you increase those minutes? You increase by using Max Weber's principle, division of labor. Don't make yourself the only person who knows how to. Be innovative. Get the child who knows or who seems to understand better than others. Give them a task to help the others. Get the child who is very well versed with this topic, the one who is looking excited. Some of them have watched a documentary on some of the things that you're struggling with. Others have Googled it while at home. Others, their parents are scientists. They talk about these things every day. So part of the innovativeness is to accept, to bring all the brains that you have in that class to your support, so that you're not teaching children, you're facilitating learning. Schools have a lot of waste materials all over. How do you work with those waste materials? Broken chairs, broken desks, unused equipment here and there. How can you? And you don't need to think very far. You just need to start small. Then sometimes you're struggling with something that your colleague knows. I remember a few years back, we went to visit an institution, and there was this teacher who was using a chart to teach science, and the chart had been drawn facing down. For all the years that teacher had been teaching using that chart, it was wrong. The colleagues knew, but they were not talking to him. So even when we talk about communities of practice, we want to ignite creativity, innovativeness through those communities. Because the fact that you're not getting it does not mean another person is not getting it. Let's cross-pollinate ideas. Let's see how the other person is doing what we are struggling with. Why is it that one teacher, the students get A's, or they're exceeding expectation in CBC language here, and yet yours are just satisfactory or trying to get to satisfactory? So build on, your attitude. Utilize your colleagues, not just within the school, but even outside of the school. And in today's world, where you have WhatsApp, you can communicate with teachers across Africa. Ask. And again, I say ask. Throw the idea on the WhatsApp forum and ask people to help you figure out. And that works very well. So don't labor alone, and don't try to be the only one who knows, or don't try to compete, because like I said in my presentation, one of the challenges we have is people competing. You compete in such a manner that you hoard information, so that you're not helping other people to understand how to do certain things, and you're so well versed with them. So by hoarding that information, you're basically presenting yourself as a better knower, as a more refined teacher. But a more refined teacher should also refine or help others to refine. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's this last question for Mrs. Adefisayo and Dr. Joan. They said, what do you think is the best way to create communities of practice? And what are the key metrics that makes them effective? Who must be involved? How should they be structured? What should they provide? The question is from Oluwatosin. Did we get that? Or I should take it again? The last question. For Dr. Joan and Mrs. Adefisayo. So what do you think is the best way to create communities of practice? And what are the key metrics that makes them effective? Who must be involved? How should they be structured? What should they provide?
Well, maybe I should just talk from my own experience, from the communities of practice, the groups that I belong to. As a teacher, I facilitate a lot. I teach classes a lot. So from there, we tend to develop around what we've learned, what we can call a community of practice. We set up, and usually we use the simplest and the most basic pages and something like WhatsApp, honestly. So we set up a group, we have an administrator, and we agree on the rules of the group. And we discuss among ourselves all the learning, all the support. We support ourselves. Somebody has a new concept, he posts it, this is how I taught this concept in physics, or this, because what I normally teach is 21st century skills. So maybe collaboration, teamwork, integration with technology, creativity, and so on. So how can I innovatively teach this particular concept? And the rest of us can help them. Some look for technology, some say, look, it doesn't always have to be technology. This is what you would recommend. So I have joined such groups, and I find them extremely effective and very lively, because people keep on learning from each other. Schools can also do it within their schools. You can say, look, you can put all your teachers together in groups where they start to work together. Because the thing is, we are too used as teachers to teach in our class and to be like, oh, I'm the only person, you know. But now we know that the best teachers, the best way to do things nowadays is to learn from each other, to collaborate, to team teach even. Look, on Monday, I'm going to have this, I'm going to teach this particular concept. Can you come and join me in class so that we'll work together on this, you know? And, you know, all sorts of, and this has made school very lively, because school itself is a learning community. Everybody has to keep learning. And communities of practice are one way by which you know, you keep on learning. Even with parents, you can have parenting seminars. You can discuss parenting issues. You can discuss challenges to them, because we say all sorts of things about them, but they too are in difficult circumstances. If the father doesn't work and doesn't bring food to the table, the child will come to school hungry and not able to work. So we have to remember that we have to support them, you know, understand their circumstances and so on. So that's, I think it can just be a lively way of engaging everybody in the community, talking to each other, learning from each other, exchanging ideas with each other. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Usayo. Thank you so much. All right.
I'm Ade Fisayo.
Ade Fisayo. Sorry for that. Dr. Joan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I have something to add about communities of practice. You develop communities of practice along the interests of the specific teachers. Teachers of English, their community of practice will be that of teachers of English. Then you have to have a vision. Why are they coming together? Why you bring them together? Design what you want, like design a program for them, then facilitate that program. Then there has to be evaluation and an element of sustainability. In normal practice, when people come together and they have a common goal, common vision, then they bring their different skills together to help in meeting the goal. As the one coordinating the community of practice, your role is to facilitate. For instance, she has spoken about WhatsApp groups and the kind of things that they're doing. You ask yourself, who must be involved? Who must be involved? It depends on the interest of the person. Sometimes you might not decide on the interest of a person on paper. Roll out or show what you're trying to do or what you want to establish a community of practice for, and let people commit their interests. There are people who are teachers of English, but their interest is in art, in fine art. They'd like to be more involved in a community of practice for fine arting. Develop guidelines. What will membership look like? What will presence look like, and what is the expectation for them on each member? And then you must have a recognition system. When you build communities of practice, there'll be people who will be ahead of others in doing this and doing that. Always. The human being likes to be recognized and to be appreciated for their efforts. However small effort somebody makes, have a system for incentivizing, even if it is just naming them and giving them claps and giving them flowers and love notes and whatever you choose. The people must be motivated, they must remain motivated. In short, what is their convergence? You can have WhatsApp forums where they exchange ideas, but I think it is also very important that every you have a forum where they come to showcase their talents, because communities of practice are less of what you learned, but more of talent. Then always give each person equal opportunity. And as you create your communities of practice, you must be mindful about the issues of equity and inclusion, gender and inclusion. Why do we say that? Because there's a way women think and there's a way men think. Women are more empathetic, or so science says, than men. You need to have a good blend so that you sustain momentum. At the same time, um, you need to have a mantra, something that will bring the people or will keep the people yearning to come together. Have a schedule of activities so that you're not operating what we call here in Kenya chundudo. Chundudo is something that has no order. What is the membership like? What are the terms of reference? Create TOR for the membership. Make it a serious thing. And the reason I say this is because if you create the first community of practice and it doesn't anchor, it doesn't pitch, it doesn't succeed, then you're cooked. The next one will not work. The next time people will not come. What is going to keep them coming? What is going to be exciting for them? What are the incentives? And the incentives, like I said, they don't necessarily have to be monetary. And then as you do that, within the education system, then you would have to bring everybody on board, the stakeholders. Have the Teacher Service Commission or whoever is in charge of managing teachers in your country. Have key leaders from the community of practice who are elected by their own peers. Not you to decide who is going to be the chairman of this community of practice. Let them decide. Then, always, you must have a system for monitoring and evaluating. Are we going forward or backward? Are we succeeding in our agenda? Are we making progress or not? Because that way, then, when you meet, you can review progress, and people can bring their ideas about how to make faster progress or how to sustain, if you're happy with the progress you're making, how to sustain that momentum. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joy Ngozi. Thank you so much for attending to that. Dr. Adetola Salau, I can see that your hand was raised. Okay. All right. Without much ado.
Yes, my hands were raised. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, somebody asked me a question in the chat, and he said, what do we do? It changes slow. So I saw that, and I said, let me address that. And also I was fascinated and of course agreed with what Mr. Depisayo and Dr. John said about the teachers themselves and setting up those communities of practices themselves. When the person asked me, what do you do about change being slow and policies not rising up? I would like to remind us about the analogy of a bucket underneath a tap where the water is just, the stream. It's just like little droplets still coming out from that tap. The tap wasn't shut all the way. And somehow that water is just, tiny drops. You will be amazed how after you leave that bucket for a while, several hours, it converges to become a bigger body of water inside that bucket. I'm giving that analogy, and I'm also reiterating what I said earlier about not giving into despair. When I was teaching mathematics, because I think, yes, you did say it in my bio. One of the biggest things that we teachers used to, of course, a lot of those older teachers will talk about how things were so wonderful when they were teaching the yesteryears. But one of the things that we like to emphasize was, what is the end goal? What is the end result of what we're trying to do? Which is for these students to be able to master certain skills, to be numerically literate, to be able to estimate, to be able to use critical thinking skills, to solve word problems, things like that. So we will sit down. I mean, that was our own community of practice. During lunch breaks and during assigned meeting times, to talk about what were the best things, methods, tips that we have for each other, and we will encourage each other. And I can tell you that by doing that over time and learning from them and listening to them and going back and using this year after year, I know that my craft as a teacher improved, and my mindset and my thinking about how I was teaching my students also improved. So I'm saying all this to encourage us that, yes, change is slow. Some of these policies are not exactly friendly. One of them that I'm thinking about, of course, that I can't stop thinking about because of my own background, is the curriculum that we've had here in Nigeria, how we've all been working around it and doing our best. That is it. You just have to continue. What is it that works? What is it that you can continue in your own little areas? Just continue. And you continue to find other people who these things are working for. And then we continue to encourage each other and continue to support each other. In fact, to me, that's really what the essence of what the community of practice is, that we're building and supporting each other. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. All right. Thank you so much to all the speakers. It has been very insightful. My note is so filled up, and I'm still writing and writing and writing. Thank you so much for sharing this wealth of knowledge with us. And I know the participants, the audience too, are really, 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 really intrigued by what has actually been dished out today. Thank you so much. I really want to call quickly. We have 5 minutes, and that will be all for this conference. So I really want to call on Mr. Irondo quickly. We roll out, in the course of this conference, we roll out proposals for people to turn in their abstracts, and want people to write what are the things that could be done to make our educational system to be at par with what is happening in other developed economy. And people turn in their abstract. Today, Mr. Godwin Irondo will be doing justice to that. We're able to review the abstract that came in, and one of the abstracts stood out. Mr. Irondo will be speaking to that. Thank you, Mr. Irondo. The floor is yours now. You are muted. You are muted. Unmute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Interesting. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, whatever country you're watching us from. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have all of us. It's a pleasure to be the one to present these the best abstract who submitted the best abstract. Pleasure. All right. Now, at the education regulation, there was several persons submitted their abstracts, and as we reviewed, the abstract was supposed to be based on how African education can evolve for relevance, resilience, and adaptability. All right. So But one stood out. Now, for relevance means that what we are learning, what our students are learning in school, is relevant in the day we live in, like has been said by um, several of the keynote speakers. Okay, resilient means that what they are learning can also stand the test of time. Our educational system can also stand the test of time over time, as there's economical evolution, cultural, social evolution, technology-wise, and all of that. Our education system can still stay, and adaptability. So the abstract that stood out for us, um, close enough to what we really wanted, is the abstract that it's about the impact of digital literacy training programs on teachers' instructional quality. I can take that again. The impact of digital literacy training programs on teachers' instructional quality, and that was the abstract submitted by Emmanuel James Adams. All right, so now this abstract, now the reason we have to select this, now remember, we are looking at relevance, looking at resilience and adaptability. These three things form the basis on which we looked at the abstract and selected this one. Now, the reason for this, now, this actually, we looked at the recommendations made by the author of this paper, and one of the things that was suggested, which we think would really be helpful, is sustained and strategic investments into IT infrastructure. Our speakers today have said a lot about IT, digital technology, and all of that. But without investments in the infrastructure that is required to have this done, that's not going to work. Things like power, the devices required, um, um, access to the internet rather. This is required. And then another recommendation from that paper was design and delivery of continuous, context-specific and pedagogically focused training programs that not only build technical proficiency, but also cultivate digital pedagogical competence, which has also been spoken about today. So we believe that if this paper, what this paper is talking about, if our teachers are developed technology wise, they're given digital education that is required, it can improve learning in our schools. It can help our education system evolve. And so this is so important. That's the reason we selected this paper. The impact of digital literacy training programs on teachers' instructional quality. Now, there were other beautiful and good papers that were submitted, but remember, we're really focusing on relevance, resilience, and adaptability. So at this juncture, I will probably invite, if Emmanuel is he can say something, as someone whose paper is recognized in this conference today. Is he around? Can he say something?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good
Thank you
evening.
very much.
Good
Can
evening,
you hear me?
Emmanuel. Yeah, loud and
Yeah,
clear.
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for
Yeah.
writing this paper and the effort that is put into this paper to make the contribution. So the reason why this paper was written is due to the massive failure of teachers during the TRCN examination. The last concluded TRCN examination. So if I decided to carry out this paper, if they could, a lot of teachers failed TRCN exams, then how are they coping with the new online teaching, digital teaching, with the new hybrid teaching? So when I carry out my studies, despite government investment in digital training, I tried to pick certain teachers, most especially the newly recruited teachers in Kaduna State, and a mixed method. I used I gave about 1,148 teachers, and I interviewed 12 principals. And my findings, I discovered, despite this digital training, there are so many challenges that has bedeviled the impact of these digital trainings, which could impact in their pedagogical skills. Now, these challenges also influenced my findings and recommendations. So some of the challenges, despite government investment in ICTs, we could have epileptic power supplies. Some of these computers and other digital other educational technologies that have been given to this teacher, they are being dumped, and therefore the teachers are not able to utilize these devices. So that is why the government needs to invest in electricity. The government still needs to invest in functional ICT. If government can strategically invest in this ICT, information communication technology infrastructure, I strongly believe that the teachers will do not only investing but a sustained way of a progressive way of keeping these things in check. So when we invest, we really need also check the progress. Are these things being used, or you just invest and dump it due to so many challenges like epileptic power supply? So in my recommendation, that is why I recommended a sustained and strategic investment in ICT infrastructure, coupled with design and delivery of continuous. It should be continuous. There are times they invest and after some years we don't see the use. So all these things are very, very important to improve teachers' instructional qualities. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Also, thank you so much, Mr. Godwin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I want to invite Dr. Brian Ruben, the founder of Education Research Initiative, for his closing remark. And also, I want to say thank you so much for our ever attentive audience for staying put to this time. Thank you so much. Dr. Brian.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. To all distinguished speakers, esteemed colleagues and friends, thank you to Blessing Omishebi, our director at the Education Research Initiative. Thank you for making this possible. I want to thank all of you as well who has been here from the start. Today we have done more than hold a conference. We have taken a bold step into the future of education. The conversations we've heard, from redefining the teacher's role to harnessing technology and partnership, are not abstract ideas. They are a call to action. I want to make one thing clear. We will not let today's insight sit on the shelf. Over the coming weeks, my team and I will consolidate the findings of this gathering into a white paper, a living document that distills the best of what we have heard. And we'll engage directly with ministries, school systems, development partners, and the private sector across Africa and beyond to ensure that these ideas translate into policy and practice. Education and Research Initiative was born out of a conviction that our continent must not be a late adopter of the future. We must be co-architects. We will therefore champion the partnerships, policies, and innovations that can move us from rhetoric to results. Let me thank our speakers once again for their vision, and our participants for your energy and candor. Together, we have lit a fire. Now we must keep it burning. The world has moved on, and with your continuous collaboration, the Education Research Initiative will make sure education moves with it, towards relevance, towards resilience, and real opportunity for every learner. I want to thank you all, and please, let us walk this path together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brian. Thank you. Thank you so much. For our keynote speakers, definitely we will be reaching out to you during the course of the week. We will be reaching out to you, definitely. Thank you so much. We called and you answered. Not only did you answer, you gave us all. I'm so blessed. I'm so refreshed. I think I'm going low. Most of my colleagues are here. I know they're like, wow. Even my principal joined the call because I had to tell them, you must join this conversation. I teach in Green Spring School. I said, you must join this conversation. And it has been really, really, really insightful. I must say thank you so much for coming. And to the participant that joined in, God bless you. Thank you so much. This, just like Dr. Brian said, is not just going to be a conversation, it's going to be in a living document. Our goal is to reshape, to reimagine the education system. And that is what we are driving at. On this note, I want to say thank you and do have a fantastic evening. Bye. You can drop your emojis. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Joan Guzi. Thank you so much, Dr. Adetola Salau. I pulled you out of a family function. Apologies. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adefisayo. Thank you so much. I met you live when we did our concert, and I said you must come on board. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work in the education system. Thank you so much. It's really, 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 really amazing listening to you all. Thank you so much. Our participants, thank you. We have come to the end of this year's Education Reset Conference. Thank you, and do have a fantastic week ahead. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much. Our people from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenyatta, Lagos, Ibadan, wherever you are joining from, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Thank you so much.